We go back now to our top story, Prime Minister Mark Carney's new cabinet. And joining us now is political analyst Raphael Melançon. Hi, Raphael.
Good evening, Maya.
So what do you make of the composition of this cabinet, the changes, and specifically the roles given to Quebec MPs?
Yes, well, we heard today Prime Minister Carney saying that Canadians voted for change, and what they see today in this cabinet is a lot of change indeed. And there's a lot of change also on the Quebec side. First of all, let's start with stability. We have the finance minister, François-Philippe Champagne, remaining as finance minister. He was appointed by Mark Carney prior to the general election. But major changes, with just Mélanie Joly, for instance, the foreign minister, she was doing a great job. Not a lot of people saw her being downgraded to Minister of Innovation, Science and Economic Development. She's being replaced by Anita Anand with the foreign ministry. So, of course, that's a big surprise there because she was doing a very good job. And she was amongst some of the first ministers to publicly support Mark Carney when he stepped into the leadership campaign of the Liberal Party. So big surprise there. Also some new faces, Maya. Interesting there. Joël Lightbound, that's another surprise because Mr. Lightbound had some issues with the Liberal Party leadership in the past under Justin Trudeau. He was out of the Liberal caucus for some time. So right now, being appointed as Minister of Procurement and Public Works, he is certainly back within the Liberal family. We also have Marjorie Michel, who's now the Health Minister. She's a new face in politics. She used to be the director of Justin Trudeau's constituency office in the riding of Papineau in Montreal. So new face there. And also Mandy Gall, the former Grand Chief of the Cree Nation, who's going to be Minister of Indigenous Services. So of course she knows very well, having been coming from an Indigenous community, of course, but having been amongst the leadership of an Indigenous community, she is well aware of the needs of those communities up north.
Okay, so we have about a minute left. I just quickly want to get to Terrebonne because things have been quite dramatic there with a judicial recount. Now the Liberals winning by a single vote, but a woman coming forward saying, I voted for the Bloc and that vote wasn't counted.
That vote wasn't counted. That's information that came out from our friends, our colleagues at Nouveau. Very interesting. So there could be up to about 30 ballots that were mailed in and didn't go through the mail and got to Elections Canada to be counted. So out of those votes, how many votes were for the Bloc Québécois or the Liberal Party? So of course, there's a major legitimacy issue here for the Liberal MP, the new Liberal MP, Tatiana Auguste, who was elected, as you mentioned, by just one single vote. So is she really the legitimate voice of the people of Terrebonne in the House of Commons? Now, I think, frankly, if I were her, I would simply resign and ask the Prime Minister to call a new election, to ask the people of Terrebonne for a strong mandate to represent them for the next term, of course. Major legitimacy issue, but anyway, whenever somebody tells you your vote doesn't count, that shows us that's a living proof here that every vote can make a difference.
If ever there was a concrete example, there it is. All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you, Raphael. We'll speak to you again soon.
Always a pleasure, Maya. See you next time.